Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to Goonies World. I am Mimi, also known as Ryan, and joining me, as always, Johnny Fierro, also known as Sean.
Hello there.
And Goonie, also known as Colin.
Hello.
And I believe we are returning for the final time to a ancient, well, I guess it's fairly ancient anyway, world of Vikings.
Yes, we're playing GURPS Vikings, and we are sometime in the Middle Ages in the world that our Viking friends would call Midgard. And before I get much further, I want to thank Pound Sound UK for the music you're hearing right now, and Svengvari for the music that you'll hear in most of the rest of our episode tonight. But to quickly recap, over the last over the last 5 episodes, our heroes, the mighty but fearful Thor Thorson and the mystical but delusional Umlaut Topknot, were driven out of Norway by Bolg the Bulge after they humiliated Bolg's nephews, the jealous Thorolf Smooth-Tooth and Ingve Hump, in a holmgang, or a judicial duel. Thorolf had told lies to King Harold Fairhair about the amount of taxes that our heroes had collected for the king, because Thorolf was jealous and resented that the girl Carrie was in love with Thor. And one thing led to another, and there was the threat of a family feud with their uncle Bolg the Bulge, and so Thor and Umlaut left Trondheim with Carrie and her brothers, seeking a new life in a land that Umlaut had a prophetic dream about. And first they sailed to Zetland, where they did battle with the Picts, who killed Carrie's brother Sigurdsson. And you guys took some livestock and other booty from there, and then sailed on to the island of Foroyar, where you rescued a shipwrecked Christian monk, Brother Brendan. And then together with him and Carrie's brothers and Carrie, you sailed to Iceland, where you were taken in by the Viking lord Ingolfur and asked to kill the terrible monster Wendell. However, Wendell proved too great a foe. And he struck fear into the party, and he killed Brother Brendan and Carrie's brother Gunnar. At least I think it was Gunnar. She's got a lot of brothers. And then you were forced to flee that fight, and Ingolfur sent you away, more or less in disgrace, but he let you keep the chain shirts and gold rings he had given you. And so, searching for the fabled land of Greenland, the party's Drakkar, or longship, was upset by a humpback whale, and another of Carrie's brothers, Mopsy, was lost at sea. And Thor had to rescue Carrie from drowning, and it's a good thing he did, because Carrie had revealed that she was pregnant with Thor's child. And after sailing into a horrific tempest, just a terrible storm, the Drakkar was blown way past Greenland over a matter of days, and the ship was terribly, terribly damaged. But finally, we reached the strange shores of the far southwest beyond Greenland, and the tall, moss-covered trees resembled the lands of Umlaut's dream. But soon after landing there in your broken ship, you were attacked by near-naked warriors, natives of this newfound land, called the Beothuk. And their leader, Tumathok, spoke your language, actually. There was a fight, of course, but because of the language, further bloodshed was avoided. It seems that Northmen had come many winters ago, Tumathok said, and came to live with the Beothuk and taught them the Norse tongue, but one of them made them sick, so they killed the Northmen and ate them. Tumathok invited you guys to stay and to help the Beothuk in their battles against their enemies, the Micmac. And he told you there's a good clearing in the forest to the west where you could grow grains and vines, but there's a monster there called Nya Gwaheh, the naked bear, who was once a man but was cursed by the gods of the sun and the moon for eating human flesh. And so, if you want to stay here, the Vikings, you will have to kill Nya Gwaheh in order to claim your place in this newfound land. Now, Tumathok gave the Vikings wives. All Carrie's brothers, he was given wives. And Umlaut, you were given a wife if you want one. And when we last left off, you were all sitting among the birch bark wigwams of the Beothuk village, feasting. When Tumathok suggested that the basic laws of hospitality demanded, and reciprocity, demanded that Thor share Carrie with Tumathok. So you sit there in the firelight during this feast. Thor, how do you respond to the suggestion that Tumathok has made that Carrie should be at least lent to Tumathok? Because as you can see, culturally speaking, these Beothuks, or Skrylings as Vikings called them, are quite free with their womenfolk.
Well, I don't know. He's just going to look over at Carrie and kind of try to gauge her feelings on the matter.
Much as she did when you asked her how many wives you could have in our last episode, she gives you a look that would spoil fresh milk. And you get the sense she is not at all interested in being shared with Tumathok.
Well, you see, it is not up to me. It is up to her to decide what she wants. But if you could see the look on her face, you probably see it. You probably realize that she does not want this.
And Carrie says, and in fact, I am with child. And when Tumathok hears that, he says, oh, well, it is very unlucky to lay with a woman with child. Therefore, I withdraw my request. And Umlaut, you look over and you can see that the ghost of Brother Brendan, which no one but you can see because you're delusional, is sitting next to you. He's, again, he's all semi-transparent and glowy like a force ghost. And he says, not only is it unlucky to lay with a pregnant woman, it is immoral to lay with a woman when not married. I don't suppose you are considering taking a native wife, my good friend Umlaut, says the ghost.
I am considering it, yes.
Well, then you must undergo the sacred rite of baptism so that your marriage will be blessed and you'll not be living in sin.
Well, what does it entail? I mean, I think I remember something about hearing about this. Something to do with water.
Yeah, and you're just going to have to remember, even, I'm going to make you as a player will just have to try to remember, because this is not a real ghost, you know what I mean? He can't give you any information that you don't already have or think. So whatever you think being baptized would entail, that's what it would be.
Yes, I think I know it involves water. I think I must waterboard my wife. No. No, I think I just have to, splash around in the water a little bit and
yeah, you
take
have
a
the
bath.
feeling. Yeah, you get the feeling it's sort of a bath of some form, and then you have to agree that you're going to follow, Christ, which is what he kept calling the God that he worshipped when you knew him. But they lead out a lovely lady for you, though. And Tumathok introduces her as Lawana. Her name means laughing water. Do you wish to lie with her this night?
I do.
Okay. Well, do
Did
you want to
splash around in the laughing water? Well, that counts as a baptism.
yeah. Do you want to try to sort of baptize yourself first and become a Christian, at least in your understanding of it?
Yeah, I think he wants to play all the sides,
Yeah,
get on the
sure.
good side of all the gods.
Yeah.
And
Why not?
So he will strip down and wade into the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of splash around and get himself cleaned up until he kind of feels purified, I guess.
Okay. Well, all this all this happens, to the great amusement of the Beothuk. But the rest of that night, though, you do lay with the ghost of Brother Brendan shrugs from the shoulders, says, "That's close enough," and says, "Well, now you're a Christian. You're a follower of Christ. You'll go to heaven now."
Okay, I guess that's good.
Oh yes.
I don't know if I think I will have my option when I die. I will see many roads before me, and I will pick which one that looks the most enticing.
If that is the case, says Brother Brennan goes, then death is not unlike life, for there are always many roads before us.
True.
But the rest of that night passes without incident, other than the fact that you guys lay with your wives. And the next day, over some cold breakfast, Tumathok says, "When you go to defeat Nya Gwaheh, you must not take all of these Northmen that you have with you. Maybe just that one," he says, pointing to Jurgen. Actually, can't remember if Jurgen already died or not, but we'll call him Jurgen the Younger, just in case. Because he's a pretty beefy guy. "Because Nya Gwaheh, the naked bear, will hear and smell so many of you coming. So I would take merely one. That way you can be stealthy in the woods. I, of course, will guide you through the forest."
Okay, I hope this naked bear has no relation to Wendell. Another beast that we fought that was just too powerful for us.
I know not this
to admit it, but we will really have to try something different this time.
Well, I have something that will help you, which our warriors do. And some women are bringing out clay bowls, and you can see there's pigments in the bowls, and he begins painting up his face. And I suggest you do the same. And, he's got red paints and blue paints and some white paints. And do you wish to put on the war paint of the natives?
Yes, I think that will help.
I don't know if it will help, but I am willing to give it a shot.
Oh, yes, it will help. Brother Brendan's ghost sitting there, which again only you can hear, goes, "And I tell you, what will help is you paint it in the sign of the cross. That is what you do. And you cannot be defeated in battle."
Well, I don't know if you are telling the truth, seeing how
yes,
you were defeated in battle. But
yes, because I did not paint the sign of the cross. Do you remember I told you, and of course we didn't roleplay this, but he told you all kinds of crap, and I told you that the great Emperor Constantine, he had his men paint the sign of the cross upon their shields, and that is how he became the Emperor of Rome, and made Rome a Christian nation. Therefore, I strongly suggest, my friend, that you will be invincible should you paint yourself with the sign of the cross.
Yes. Well, it can't hurt. I think I will paint a sign of the cross upon my chest.
Meanwhile, while he's having that conversation, Tumathok kind of sidles up to you, Thor, and he says, "Your friend, who is he talking to?"
Well, he sees spirits that we can't always also see.
Oh, he is a holy man. Yes.
In a manner of speaking.
Well, this bodes well. Well, let us bring your friend Jurgen, and let us go. And so you guys head off into the primordial forest, full of huge trees and giant matted hangings of moss like curtains, and there are flowers and berries and profusion. It is definitely a land of plenty. And you see also plenty of signs of game. Unfortunately for Thor, plenty of signs of deer, but you don't see any actual deer. And after a few days of travel, you come to a clearing where there's a meadow with tall stalks of wild grain and a huge, like, glacial boulder covered with vines with deep purple grapes on them. It's actually the fox grape, which is likely why the Norse called this part of North America Vinland. But as you approach, a round of robins and an asylum of loons cry out and scatter. You can tell I've been researching my, what do you call, groups of different kinds of birds. So, if you ever need to know again, it's a round of robins and an asylum of loons. Both birds are very common in this area at this time, but they scatter and fly away into the forest as you come in. And then you can hear a low, terrible growl. And suddenly, up upon the great glacial boulder, leaping up on top of it, you see a large bear. It's bigger than any bear you've ever seen. Only it is completely bald. It's got no hair at all, which is really disturbing. It gives it a disturbing aspect. And it has human hands on its forelegs with long claws. And it rears up and roars as if trying to warn you away. Now, you're still within running distance from it, and you could loose arrows if you wished to do so. Those of you who have ranged weapons, Jurgen is certainly going to fire one of his arrows, but we might as well go in turn order before we do that. And I don't think either of you have a move of 7.
Correct.
But Nya Gwaheh does, so he will go first. But that's what he's doing. He's trying to scare you away. He's rearing and roaring on his turn. And then I believe it would be Umlaut, and then Thor, and then Jurgen. And Beothuk hangs back chanting, trying to bring the blessings of Sister Moon upon you to aid in your conflict, which may or may not work. So, Jurgen will do that on his turn. But Umlaut, what do you do?
I can see that it was once a man, and I hesitate to kill this man who was cursed. But I don't know of a way to end the curse without killing the beast and the man. But I suppose I will have to let loose an arrow.
I suppose you will have to. So, let me go ahead and look at your bow score there on your skill level on your character sheet and roll that or less on 3d6 to hit Nya Gwaheh, the naked bear.
I rolled 666.
Oh my god, that is a critical failure, my friend. A terrible critical failure. And a critical miss means that your weapon breaks, my friend.
It's all part of the gods' plans.
Apparently it was. Apparently it was, because your weapon breaks. The string just snaps right off that bow. You're going to have to spend some time to repair it. And Thor, you don't have a ranged weapon, do you?
No.
Do you wish to do some running and cover some ground so you can attack in melee at a later time, or what would you like to do?
I think he's just gonna like pull out his sword and wave it around menacingly and scream a war cry and just kind of try to scare this thing off, much in the way it is attempting to do to us.
Okay, well, I mean, I've heard that's what you should do with bears, right? Raise up your arms, scream and yell, make a big noise. Unfortunately, I don't know that works on supernatural, bears that are naked bears that were transformed into naked bears by eating human flesh, but it's certainly,
Oh, maybe we just have to clothe it, and the curse will be gone. It won't be a naked bear anymore.
Certainly there's a lot of yelling going on. Between Thor and Nya Gwaheh, there's a bunch of yelling going on. And now Jurgen, Carrie's brother, looses a shaft of his arrow, and he actually rolls a 7, which is pretty nice. He's going to roll his damage, which he rolls a 3, but because the arrow is an impaling weapon, that damage gets doubled, so he does 6 points of damage to Nya Gwaheh, who now has an arrow sticking out of him. And at the top of the round, Nya Gwaheh leaps off the rock and begins lumbering forwards towards you guys. You guys are they're about 12 yards away. His move is 7, so he covers more than half that distance. He gets about 7 yards. So he's about 5 yards away from you guys. He's about 15 feet running towards you when it is your turn, Umlaut. What do you do?
Well, I will bring out my sword.
You ready your weapon. Yep. And that's about all you can do, because GURPS turns are 1 second. So,
right.
Yep, you ready your weapon, and...
Yeah. I guess I
Thor.
will just... Can I shout, or is that an extra turn?
You can scream. You can scream completely freely. I mean, it has no strategic...
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I would just want to shout, "You have tasted human flesh, and I'm afraid there is nothing we can do for you now, except for to end your misery."
Yeah, I think you might be right. Now, if you want to run that 6... Thor, he's 6 yards... He's 5 yards away from you, and your move is 6. You can make it to him. The only way you could then attack would be to make a wild swing, but it might not be better than, it might be better than nothing. Wild swing, of course, carries a penalty, or you could stay where you are at, or you could rush forward and make a wild swing at a -5 penalty. What would you choose to do?
Thor...
Or you could negotiate with it, I like to try.
I don't think Thor's pretty dumb, but he's not dumb enough to think that he can negotiate with this thing. But he is afraid to fight it, so he's going to continue attempting to scare it away.
Okay, yeah, and just holding your ground, yelling, and as it rushes forward towards you guys. And Jurgen... he's got about one more attack. Now he's got to ready his arrow is what he's got to do. So that's what he's going to... That's it. And on the next turn, Nya Gwaheh is plowing into you guys, and he attacks Jurgen, because Jurgen's the only one that's hit him with the arrow. And so, oh my god, that is a 5. And since Nya Gwaheh's effective skill is a 15, correct me if I'm wrong, GURPS people, send me an email, but I believe that since his effective skill is a 15 and he's rolled a 5, that is a critical hit against our good friend Jurgen. And Jurgen is unable to dodge out of the way of this blow. So he's going to roll his 2d -2 of damage, which is going to be a 6. Altogether, it's going to be at 9 points of damage because it's cutting, so there's a 0.5 multiplier. And with those claws, Jurgen is cut badly. Now, he can take 11 hits, so he's staggering, reeling. He's taking more than half, right? He's taking more than half of his hits in one blow, so he's knocked down, which is a GURPS thing, which we all have to try to remember, which I often don't. But Jurgen is slashed and falls, taking more than half his hit points, and he falls to the ground with an involuntary yet manful scream. And it is Umlaut's turn, and now you're right there in melee. You've already prepared your sword, and what do?
I shall cut you down for that. And I will swing my broadsword. And I rolled an 8.
Okay, that certainly hits Nya Gwaheh, who is unable to dodge. He only dodges on a 6.
Okay. Ooh. So I rolled my swing is 1d plus 3. I rolled a 6, so 9, and then the extra damage.
Well, yeah, so it's going to be half that rounded. So it's going to be altogether 12 points of damage to Nya Gwaheh, who, has already taken 6. So he's already got an arrow sticking out of him. He's got a great slash in his naked side. You can see the bright red blood because there's no fur to soak it up or anything. And Thor, what do you do?
Well, Thor is going to continue screaming and trying to rile himself up into a fit of rage, but he's going to swing his sword. 6, 7, 10. Rolls a 10, which isn't a great roll, but it does hit.
Yes, it does. And there is no blocking or parrying or other form of active defense that he can make. Although, you know what? I have to give him 4 hits back because I forgot about his damage resistance of 2. So, but go ahead and roll your damage.
Ooh, that's going to be 14.
Oh, well, my. So, even with the damage resistance, he only had 8 left. Because that was a pretty significant wound that Umlaut had just delivered. And just to be certain here, he has 0 or less hit points left. He's in immediate danger of collapse. And he collapses. And he's unable to fight. He's unconscious. He is obviously at your mercy. And congratulations. Through bold action,
yes,
you have defeated Nya Gwaheh.
That was considerably easier than Wendell.
Yeah, he was not nearly as tough.
No, but Jurgen here is sure injured. Pretty bad, it looks like.
Yeah, Jurgen is pretty bad, and Beothuk is actually... Well, Beothuk doesn't have to do it unless one of you guys has first aid. So always let the players make the roll. Do either of you have the first aid skill that you can try to patch up your friend?
Yeah.
I do not. Yeah, why don't you see what you can do?
Let's see what I can do. I'm not very good at it, but... Oh my god. Oh no. Well, I'm gonna get those devil horns out, because it's 666, baby.
Oh, really?
Again.
Again.
I think I might have finished him off. I don't know.
Unfortunately, you have a critical failure on your first aid roll, which takes 2 points away, 2 hit points away. 2 happens to be exactly what Jurgen has left. So, you're trying to, staunch the bleeding. You got your hands over it, but, blood's just gushing up between your fingers. And he's down below 0 hit points now, and he makes his health roll. And no, he expires. He's gone. Poor Jurgen. And yet another one of Carrie's brothers has fallen.
But I'm not to blame. It was the bear, of course, that did these wounds. I did my best to help him.
Yeah, there
But
was
I-
nothing you could do.
Yes,
It's very sad, though.
it is tragic, but I know, I believe now, I know where he will go, and do I see him? He did kind of, well...
It's close enough. It's close enough to dying in battle.
Yeah,
It's close enough, and indeed, you hear the angelic singing. Only this time, you're not sure what has gone different in your mind. But rather than seeing the Valkyrie ride down on her flying horse from Valhalla, you see an angel. An angel of the Lord comes down and gathers up your fallen brother. Of course, obviously nobody but you sees this. But angels of the Lord come down playing harps and carry fallen Jurgen up into heaven. And Brother Brendan is standing next to you all of a sudden and pats you on the back. And he says, You see, heaven, Valhalla, is all more or less the same thing, brother. It's all a matter of one's point of view.
Yes, I see. It looks very beautiful. I would be happy to go to heaven when I die in battle.
Oh, yes. And of course you'll wait until the end of time, of course. And if you remember me telling you that at the end of time you will do battle with Satan and his minions. And this is not unlike this Ragnarok you speak of. So you see, my friend, I believe there is only one God, but he has many different faces.
Yeah, yes, it does have a certain logic to it. I think you might be right.
Well, Tumathok is singing a chant of praise to Father, Son, and Sister Moon that Nya Gwaheh has been defeated. But
Guess we didn't actually, finish him off, did we? Or did he die immediately?
Well, I mean, he was unconscious, but he was at your mercy, and I didn't actually say it, but you guys could just, stab him. He's laying there unconscious. There's no sense in sitting there rolling dice to do that. But no, we didn't actually specifically narrate that, so I think we can go ahead and do that now. Everybody can hack up Nya Gwaheh, the naked bear.
Now, I think that this new god that I am worshipping would probably prefer we bury this thing that once was a man. You just have to, make some gestures and say some mumbo-jumbo, and it is all okay. Then he will go to heaven.
Well, if you'd like to take the time to do that, then you go right ahead. Of course, we have Jurgen to worry about as well. But
Yes, and Jurgen deserves a nice burial because I saw with my own eyes the angels of the Christ God take him up to heaven. But he might fall back down if he does not get a burial.
that's true. That's true. But, and of course, Carrie is going to want a stone or something put up over his place of burial, which is the acceptable Viking funeral if you can't send him out on a boat, a flaming boat. So you probably have to carry him back. But when you do finally get back after the painful process of burying Nya Gwaheh, which Tumathok thinks is strange, but he doesn't. You can see now that you guys have powerful medicine, and he's not going to interfere. And there is great rejoicing in the Beothuk village when you guys return. And of course there must be a funeral for Jurgen. But the ghost of Brendan said to you, instead of raising the standing stone, you must raise a great cross over his grave, brother. Will you do this?
Yes, I think I have to. It must be done.
Very well. In that case, a great cross is raised. Great wooden cross is raised there in the just outside of the village. It's going to freak out some French guys here in about 400 or 500 years when they get here, when they see that cross. But anyway, after that, there's a mass wedding with all of the Beothuk women and Carrie's surviving brothers, and Umlaut and Luana. And so it is a time of great happiness, and the field that you guys have cleared out of Nya Gwaheh is now ready for the planting. You know, there was wild grain there that could be harvested and grapes, but it's just enough room for several of your traditional, Viking houses, and I feel comfortable saying that many long years pass here in this newfound land. You build your houses, you help the Beothuk in their wars with the Micmac. Carrie gives birth to a fine son, and what do you name him? I was joking and calling him Thor's son, but would you have any other ideas for a name for him?
Thor wouldn't.
Thor wouldn't. He wouldn't.
It has to be like Thorson's son.
Yeah, young Thorson's is born. And Luana gives birth to a fine young half Viking, half Beothuk boy. And what do you name him, Umlaut? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Top. Well, he needs the top knot name, right?
Well, it would be Umlautson. He really wanted to be like, he would have his own name, true. And then either Umlautson or a nickname for like a last name.
I will name him Brendan Umlautson.
Brendan Umlautson. Very nice. I think that's an excellent name, says the ghost of Brendan, who's sitting by you. And, of course, you're going to need to baptize him.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. And, in fact, all of the people, all the Beothuk people, after seeing your powerful medicine at work and seeing this big cross now, over the next decade or so, they all adopt this really weird, not very well understood version of Christianity. And, but like I say, time goes by, and after 14 winters have come and gone, Carrie's brother, Rogi, he comes to you both one day, and he says, Thor, Umlaut, we have been talking, and we feel that our sons must visit the land of their fathers and go through the rituals of manhood with our holy men and seek out wives of Norse blood, lest our people become completely assimilated in with these Skraeling folk. So now that our Drakkar has been repaired for many long years, we ask that you, Thor and Umlaut, return to Trondheim, so that our sons may claim the patrimony of their fathers, and so that your sons, Thor, may reclaim the patrimony that was stolen from them. What say you, brothers?
Well, it's so nice here.
This is the land of plenty. I have not thought about returning, but I must say that, the Viking ways are all but disappearing here. And we want our kin to appreciate, what we appreciated. I think we must go back.
Perhaps you're right. I would not want them to grow up, or the children to grow up with no knowledge at all of the homeland.
Yeah, and you glance over meanwhile and you see your kids. They are basically indistinguishable from all the little Beothuk children running around. They're wearing similar clothes, and they've been playing with them. They can speak their language fluently. And so even though you have respect for these people, something about their homeland. Carrie seems to nod with approval and give her blessing. to the journey.
Yes. We of Viking blood are restless, I think. We must always be on a ship sailing somewhere, conquering some place, and battling and raiding and all that. And here I have grown to appreciate peace, although I know we have our differences with other tribes, but there is something that just is gnawing at me. Maybe I will find it back in Norway.
Well, maybe so. In that case, you say your fond farewells to the friends you've made in this newfound land, and loading up men and supplies, you make the long trek back to Norway. And you have many adventures on the way, which we obviously do not have time to recount here, but eventually, very long time later, you reach the shores of Norway that you have not seen in so many years. And you sail up the Nidelva River and once again see Trondheim, the land of your fathers. And you can see the banners of King Harald Fairhair are gone. And in their place are the banners of his son, King Eric Bloodaxe. And as your Drakkar beaches there near Trondheim, there's great excitement in the community. People are rushing down into the water, and suddenly there's some looks of recognition. Even though you guys are older now, maybe there's some gray hairs, but you hear some shouts, Thorson has returned, and Umlaut Topknot has returned, and the news is spreading very quickly throughout Trondheim, and soon there's a crowd of men come swaggering down to the water's edge. They're obviously relatives of Bolg the Bulge. You can see that from their family resemblance. And one of them says, "Think you that we have forgotten about the feud between our families?" In this case, they're a lot younger than you. They must have been little kids, when this happened. And several of them square off against Carrie's brothers, and two each square off against you. And you are old men now. You would do best to sail back across the water from whence you came.
Think you that we forgot? And now I'm Russian again. Think you that we forgot? Oh no. We have not forgotten. That is why we've returned, you see.
Yes, we cannot forgive the burning of our houses. That was a very disrespectful act. We've run out of our home. We found a new home, but now we have returned to seek our vengeance.
Well, and with that, again, so there's two of these young men. You haven't seen Thorolf Smooth-Tooth or Yngve Hump yet, but there's two of those guys on each of you, and a battle breaks out. They whip out their weapons, and it looks like there's about to be a fight, but you hear this voice go, "Hold!" And everyone immediately turns, and walking out from, the main log house with the banners of King Eric Bloodaxe. This guy was about 13 the last time you saw him. But he's a fine, fine young man. Comes walking down. It is Eric Bloodaxe, grown. "That is not how we settle things. This is a judicial duel. This is a holmgang. Someone summon Thorolf Smooth-Tooth and Yngve Hump. For Bolg the Bulge is no longer here, and it is they who will settle this matter now." And so there's a great deal of talk, and it takes a while for them to be located. Meanwhile, all the members of their clan grumble and back off. And soon, looking rather glum about it, there's a great big fat guy who you barely recognize as Thorolf Smooth-Tooth. The years have been good to him, He's obviously been rewarded your lands, Thor, and he's been subsisting on all your revenues, and he's gotten rather rotund. But he comes out. Yngve Hump still looks like he's in decent shape, aside from the hump. He's still got that huge two-handed axe. And everybody clears out of space there next to the water's edge, next to the Drakkar. And King Eric Bloodaxe claps his hands, and he says, "Now, the gods will determine justice. Let the Holmgang begin. And we must fight." And as usual, Umlaut, you will go first. I think we can go ahead and pair you guys up against the same two you were paired up with in the original Holmgang. Although there's no big bonfire to throw Smooth-Tooth into this time, unfortunately, Thor. But there's a huge crowd of people all around you. And Umlaut, what do you do? Yngve Hump's already readied his big two-handed axe.
I will rid you of that hump with my sword. I'll swing. That will be an 11.
Well, you're going to hit him, but he is going to successfully parry that with his readied weapon. Unfortunately for him, that does make his weapon unready. He has not thought that one completely through. And Thorolf Smooth-Tooth will go next, and then Thor Thorson, and then Yngve Hump. So Thorolf Smooth-Tooth makes a wild swing with his broadsword. He's also armed with a shield, but he misses very badly. It's not a critical miss, but it's damn close. He's got a 16, and it's a wild miss. And he's not even that unskilled. He needed a 14, but he's missed. So it is your turn, Thor Thorson.
All right. Well,
and of course your sons are both watching, right? Like young Brendan and Thor Thorsenson are both watching their father's fight.
And well, I'm just gonna swing my. Oop! Goddamn dice on the floor again. Oh goddamn! 2, 3, 5, 6.
No, nice. Not quite a critical, but that was close.
But imagine he can block and or parry or do something.
Well, he's going to try. He's going to try block with his shield. He needs a 7, but he has a 13. He's not blocking that.
Then he is hit for 13.
Okay, have you already applied the...
No, that is 13 with just the base damage, not added swing stuff.
Oh, well, dear God. With the cutting. Oh, my goodness. He is absolutely... The guy's got 11 hits, okay? And furthermore, he has a disadvantaged low pain threshold, but not that that would matter. Thorolf Smooth-Tooth just crumbles to the ground. Obviously, his best fighting days are long behind him, and he crumbles to the ground. He makes his health... he does not make his health roll, so he falls unconscious and crumples to the ground. Yngve Hump screams in rage and readies his weapon, but that's all he can do on his turn. And then it is your turn, Umlaut Topknot. I assume you're swinging with your sword.
Yeah, but I have missed.
You have missed. Okay, well, do you want to use your luck? Because you can use it 3 times per game hour, and we're about done, and you haven't used it yet.
Yeah.
I noticed you didn't use it to save poor freaking Jurgen, so you might as well use it now.
Yeah. I'll definitely use it to save my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that give me? Another reroll, or?
Yeah, you get up to 3. You can make up to 3 and pick the best one, actually, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't need to roll. Again, I know this one hits for 7. I mean, I get a 7, and then...
Yeah.
Unless he's going
to... He has readied his weapon. He will try to parry again, but... Oh, he needs a 7. He gets a 9. So you're going to do... Did you say you rolled a 7, or you did 7 points of damage?
I haven't rolled damage yet.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and roll damage.
Okay.
Because he does not parry it.
And that would be 8 without the cutting.
Okay, so it's going to be 12.
12, yeah.
Yeah. Which is exactly... So he has 0 health. He's going to make his health roll. He gets a 14. And he also crumples into an unconscious heap. And if you guys wish, you may finish them up. Back there, cries from the crowd. Finish him! Finish him! The gods demand it! Finish them! And do you guys want to finish your old enemies?
It is not Christ-like, but we are in Norway. And I think we do things differently here. So, yes, I don't want any more blood feud. I want it to end here and now.
Okay.
With
Thor,
the death
what about you?
of this man.
So I think that, but just as a brief aside, I think that sometime during the 14 years, Thor bought off his 1 point quirk of being afraid of fighting.
Right, sure, yeah.
But yes, Thor will just stab Smooth-Tooth through the heart.
Okay. Yeah, I think in one of those mini battles where you were helping the Beothuk against the Micmac, you got over that. And yeah, so he stabbed.
Yeah, I will stab. What's his name?
Yngve Hump.
Mr. Hump in his hump.
Okay. Well, King Eric Bloodaxe comes down and he puts his hands on both your shoulders and he says, well, the gods have spoken. I was a lad when I last saw you in the first home gang against these two. And my heart was against their actions even then. My heart was against the actions of Bulk the Bulge. As much as I honor my father, I think he erred in letting you leave these lands. So, I now restore you to the lands that were taken from your father and your father's people, Thor Thorson. And to you, Umlaut Topnod, I award the lands and revenues of Yngve Hump. And you are now...
I accept.
You'll now stay here amongst us. Unless, of course, you wish to go back to where you came from. Will you stay here with us, or will you go off a Viking once again?
Oh. Well, I'm sure you have your land to tend to for a while. Then we will grow less restless again. And I'm sure we'll be off to another adventure in another land, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps, but I think we should let our sons live here for some time and learn the ways of the Norwegians.
Yes, they must acclimate themselves to Norway and to the customs of their ancestors. And for a time, we must stay here.
Okay. And so with that, we end our 6-part GURPS Viking adventure. And thanks, everyone, for listening. And one more time, thank you, Pound Sound UK and Svengvari, for the music we've used over these last 6 episodes. And I believe next time we'll be back, and Ryan will be running something completely different.
That's the plan.
Yeah, on Goonies World. So we will see you then.
Hey everybody, if you like our podcast, don't forget to leave us a good rating and or review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, or wherever you're able. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at Goonies_world, and check out our website at GooniesWorldPodcast.com. Email us at GooniesWorldPodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.